Okay, hi everybody. This is Jesse from Orthogonal Research and Education Lab. We'll be talking about cognition studies and phenomenology today and the methods in them. Quick note, I presented a similar version of this talk at We Robot in Seattle earlier this month. If you're interested in that, please hit me up later. For today, we're going to talk about stalemate and cognitive studies, roadblocks, how do we make progress, and surveying methodologies is this huge question, huge problems, but kind of where we're at and what we're doing with them. So methodologies and some other opportunities too. Stalemate, theoretical, methodological, implementation, societal constraints. One issue we're probably familiar with in this group is neuroconstructivism. How much can we reduce things to neurons? How much can we reduce things to physics or other basic stuff? What can happen, and what is the mind? What is the brain? Those are very old questions. Jurisdiction. What about neuroscience versus psychology? Where do they overlap? Where do they not? We're looking at that in front of our reading group's book about Kaplan and his look at explanation in psychology and neuroscience. Roadblocks, methodologies, paradigms. I mention this all the time, but what happened in cognitive science? The Nunez critique paper of the field, did it ever grow into a robust, integrative project with neuroscience, philosophy, linguistics, and all the rest? We also are, what are these challenges we have with methodologies regarding embodiment? Was embodiment embraced in cognitive science? How is that related to neurophenomenology? What about the role of development? We talked about this in CogSci 2021 in our discussion group about trajectories in cognitive science. Maybe there's an avenue for robotics. That was one of the papers we discussed was about, hey, maybe we can study the limitations of what we can learn from humans in this sense. What about robotics, and so on? Again, very huge, broad overviews here in the essence of time. But how do we make progress? Saying new techniques, new discoveries, new ideas. We need models of structure. We need principles about these structures. But one path of inspiration has been from, this shouldn't be once, the International Conference on Embodied Cognition. We presented there this year. But basically this comment was an interesting comment there about how, robots can explore their external environments, but what about their internal environments? So this big question about how do we get to studying internal and external again, and what methods can we use for that? So kind of what we're doing to this end is we have a few stakes in the iron, a few projects at hand, a methodologies project about the main topic of what we're talking about here. We're also doing some things with profiling existing technologies and mapping some of the frontiers and paradigm to technologies. As far as existing technologies, we're looking currently at some things in like disability and accessibility. These are existing technologies and existing products, Cognition being the most advanced, kind of a BCI plus an augmented reality headset. It's good for interfacing with a bunch of stuff and looking at how this currently affects intra and interpersonal relations and communications, and some of the deeper aspects of what that could be too in terms of research methods, and what can go into these existing techs. We have a reading group that's going all over the place in terms of being interdisciplinary and trying to explore these methodologies. We started with kind of Varela's quest for embodiment with the Prize book on becoming aware. We're reading Fuchs is very ecology of the brain, very integrative, very looking at causality in a more complicated way, perhaps. We're looking at Kaplan's book, and trying to map these structures of development. If we're looking at Logiciel a little bit in terms of advanced mathematics, that might help bridge some of these complicated things about internal and external and affordances in the environment. And papers like this about where are these new generation of scientific methods evolving. And so we're kind of creating a database as we go through this big, deep, heavy work where we're looking at what methods can afford what kind of insights. Can we evaluate these methods? And we're hoping to do interviews with practitioners as well, researchers, and getting a sense of where they are in their fields, about what methods work for them, what are their bottlenecks, what are their barriers. And we're also going to be exploring some things in VR and XR about maybe newer ways of approaching embodiment and interpersonal experience and how that can be studied. So a super quick overview. But that's kind of where we're going with all this stuff. We do have some openings for internships and other ways to get involved in the future. If you're interested in that, please reach out to Bradley or myself. That's a super quick preview, but happy to talk more about all this later. And thank you for your time. Hope you have a great NeuroMatch 5, great community here. So take care.